All right. I absolutely love this headline of the next talk, Enterprise Therapy. And as a consultant, or now a kind of a retired consultant, I feel like this is exactly what I've been doing for the past decade, listening to the issues of middle managers and charging them for letting them know when they're wrong. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. Enterprise therapy is a young and complex field blend of disciplines, mixing psychotherapy with change management, computer science, and enterprise design. You are guaranteed to get a different approach to therapy. A master of many fields with endless curiosity, Gerold presents a new and exciting enterprise cocktail. So let's raise our glasses and drink it in and let the healing begin. Please give a warm welcome to Gerold.
Thank you so much for the welcome. Yeah, I'm great. I'm honored to be here. And as you can see, this is Mr. Freud in your background. And as I'm coming from Vienna, it's a cliche. I have to talk about psychotherapy and all these issues which are actually impacting your enterprise more than you can imagine. So, first, I will leave the stage because I'm too tall. That's me and my best friend, my green lady. I'm traveling since 8 days. First, I was in Berlin for a concert, and then I drove back to Vienna to evacuate my girlfriend from Vienna because it was flooded like hell. No public transportation was working. And now we travel together to Venice and came to Rome. And it's always good to arrive at our goal because the old car, you never know when it breaks down. So you have to be prepared for the unpredictable. Good. So the first thing I would like to do is to invite you to an imaginative journey, which is actually a method in integrative Gestalt therapy, which is the main methods there. And I will take you back, time machine-wise now, 13 years. Imagine you are in the year 2011. It's, by the way, the time where the first season of Game of Thrones seasoned. And it's the time where Fukushima blew up. And it's a time where Mr. Djokovic won his first Wimbledon. And it's also the time you are an enterprise architect working in a prospering online gaming company in fancy offices like this. You're working on first holistic enterprise architecture topics inspired by Tom Graves, if you have heard about the enterprise canvas and all his thinking. Enterprise design was not yet invented or published because Milan's excellent book was published 2012, so it was a year later. And you are proud of your company. The identity, the experience is really great. It's Bivin. It's the main jersey sponsor of Real Madrid, and it's really everything you do, the culture of the company is really excellent. But then suddenly, you feel it, the surroundings. Competition is rising. Industry consolidation is happening. Share price is dropping. All such stuff is happening. And suddenly, boom, you're told your company gonna merge, and not only acquire, it's a merge of equals, which is the worst thing you can do, actually, with another competitor, with a party poker gaming company, which is actually residing in UK and having a big location in India, which was one of the reasons top management thought it's a good idea because you can have cheap labor in India. And product and market-wise, it also looked very compelling. It was very diverse. Those have this, those have that, so it looked really compelling. Meaning you end up being assigned to a special forces team for a pre-merger. It's not really a due diligence, kind of due diligence assessment team, traveling first to Gibraltar, sitting on the rock with the monkeys, getting some instructions how to do the assessment, and sitting in the flight to Hyderabad, watching interesting city. And now the interesting part starts. you are shown lots of fancy, good-looking architecture systems. It all looks good, it looks compelling. You're taken out for dinner big time, and you more and more feel like this is a bit too much. Maybe you are taken for a ride here, but you can't prove it. You feel like this. You're being sold some ducks, potentially. But nevertheless, the instruction more or less was given, the merger was signed, the deal was signed. Those executive board members came together. And you actually more and more saw after the merger happens, in the post-merger phase, that many things were really just made up, you were shown. It was not true. It was, I wouldn't say it was a blunt lie, but it was delusive. It was a bit hallucinative. And the thing is also, some examples now. We were back in Vienna, and suddenly the new CTO, a kind of American John Wayne style, I would claim very underqualified but maximally overconfident of himself, drops in via video call and tells you, your enterprise architecture team, you built up, and it was really a team driving a holistic view, not a technical view of how you treat an enterprise. Gonna merge with the team in India, which, by the way, was just renamed also to enterprise architecture team, but they just did plain software, deep-level operational architecture. And you're gonna get a new boss. Your manager is now sitting in Hyderabad, and you can't even pronounce his name. So you're line managed from India. And you feel really something is really going wrong here. And if you look more and more into the teams, our complete platform team was told the transaction system will be moved completely to the Hyderabad system. Sportsbook team was getting more and more anxious regarding will we be replaced by Indian workforce. The casino team, it was the Ukrainian team, yeah. Poker team in Sweden. Different dynamics occurred in regards of what's going to happen, insecurity, and all these dynamics were up on the stage. So it was kind of like this was actually not the official post-merger claim. It was an ad, but it was really about bet on survival, bet on extinction. We didn't know what's going to happen. And we really felt like having a monkey on our shoulder. So, but what I want to tell you, it's really the thing with a now profound understanding of psychotherapy and psychodynamics and change management. I can tell this was kind of a post-traumatic stress disorder, the whole merger, causing depressive units, depressive locations, causing delusive, schizophrenic effects in certain areas. And it even went more complicated because I was still part of the company, and it never really recovered from this trauma. It took 4 years, and after these 4 years, the whole company was acquired by what was it called, a gaming venture capitalist group, because it never found together its new culture, its new identity, and the whole psyche of the enterprise. It was broken, and it was acquired, and it was again acquired, and now it's kind of a mixture of something, and it's more a medicine effect. I would call it M&A adipositas effect. So it's gotten too fat now. Lots of companies acquired, no control, no identity, no culture. So, and this guy here, Mr. Frankl, I think the quote is really one of the most powerful. An abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior, and this is what we felt. And that's just one really core example I wanted to tell you. So, now some words to me. Again, this is my green car. I'm traveling a lot, and I also studied and learned stuff. So I'm a computer scientist, and I studied economics, and I also did a study of psychotherapy, not the full set. I stopped in the half because in Austria it's really heavily regulated and it's freaking expensive. And back then I just couldn't afford it. But this half of the study really helped me a lot to get new insight, what actually is also important and highly relevant for corporations, for organizations, not only for the individual. I did improvisation theater. I can highly recommend this, to be prepared for everything, because you get tricks and behaviors and stuff, and you learn to laugh to fail, which is the main principle of improvisation theater. And there is a second rule: there is no no. You accept what's happening right now and you act on it. And I have 25 years of professional exposure, as I said, as a software developer, as a system architect, as an enterprise architect, as an organizational developer, as a strategist, as a blah, 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 as everything. And currently working at ÖBB, and by the way, my pictures are not really moving as expected. So that's a glitch, but I have to deal with it, eat my own dog food. I had a major personal flat out by myself during the first year of Corona, so I had a major depressive episode. I was 3 months hospitalized. I was completely down. There was 3 torpedoes hitting me on a private side, on a professional side, and Corona on top. So I really learned also from being really on the ground. And I also had some quite unsuccessful startup experiences. I had some. It was in the year 2007. We built some electronic music double-sided platform, failed miserably because we missed the MP3 wave. And the second one was a restaurant crossover with a record store, which also failed due to another pathology from our Geschäftsführer, the managing director of this thing, which was a cook. And we wanted to run the business, 4 of us, and he was a command control cook, tried to manage it alone. So we just jumped out. And by the way, this was the birth of the real enterprise therapy, more serious take, because I've needed to do some more website and brand. I love to do this. And that's the reason I created enterprisetherapy.com. I looked up the domain. I actually also Googled it and I found the same picture Milan showed, this enterprise therapy house, which is an institute in the United States, which is about just selling therapy stuff for individuals in a corporate context, which is not to be, it's not the same thing I try to do here, because I try to extrapolate therapy stuff, not for the individual, but on the systemic level, on the whole organization, on teams, on team of teams, on units. And I'm a vinyl DJ, I'm a photographer, and I'm a digital nomad driving around with my camper van. And I was the first, I think, Starlink customer in Austria, which, by the way, it works like shit. I love Elon for this. You might think what you think, but for this product, it's really great. And now the pictures come, interesting, they come late. Is this maybe not a PowerPoint? Is this a Google version? Possibly. Okay, so that's me on stage. That's the Bevin experience. I'm actually working now at the Austrian Federal Railways as an enterprise change agent. I don't want to call it agile coach. That's my flat out picture. That's the Beats and Beans, that's the restaurant and vinyl store. That's me doing some music. That's the photography stuff. That's my van again. Yes, that's my daughter. I'm also a father, and I got some good credits from the last team meeting that I'm the one who really points out the harsh stuff, but gives you the feeling nothing is impossible. That was really going to my heart, getting this kudo from a colleague. Good, so, what's this E thing? It's not ecstasy. It's this. It's the enterprise. Whenever I talk to someone who has no clue about enterprise architecture or what we all know about enterprise, they think about this and they ask me, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, and I think the important point is, it's this definition I really like, and I think it's from the intersection from Jung. And it's this endeavor of people. And the thing is about, the real crucial thing is people. It's a collection of people, All the rest is, yeah, you can manage it, but the people is the hard stuff. And this I added, hopefully, a shared ambition. And what's hitting our enterprises right now? All these external VUCA, BANI, torpedoes hitting us, like crisis here, society changes, threats here, digital transformation, disruption, prolonged inflation, you name it. Lots of stuff is hitting our enterprise. Inside we have toxic cultures, technical debt, complexities from M&A, missing purpose, dysfunctional leadership, all those things you feel them, it's a symptom. But now, prepare for the, hopefully, effect coming now. No, these animations do not work here. Okay, good. Yeah, but that's the real thing. All these effects are on the surface, because those are those who, yeah, you can feel them. But there is a lot going under the surface. And here we go to Freud again. It's the unconsciousness. It's the stuff which you don't really know. It's the unknown, but it has an effect. It has a big effect. And that's the spoiler to get ready for going below your edge now, because that's the claim of the conference. And what is it? Symptoms. Again, we know from depression, from psychology, you can feel it hurts here, it hurts there, you can't sleep, you can't think, but what is it? You don't know it really. And normal behavior we are socialized with, there is a symptom, you go to the doctor and you get your Xanax, which by the way is a very dangerous drug. Don't take it too often. And just kill the symptoms and go ahead, as with that what you are used to. And I think that's not the right thing. That's my claim. Don't do it. But we still do it. It's the usual enterprise reflex. It's the knee-jerk reaction. You are, and we are, problem solver heroes. We are getting rewards when we solve the problem as fast as possible. We're used to this. We like quickie style versus sustainable approach. And we are very comfy in our comfort zone, because why should we leave it? It's always painful. So don't do it. And Einstein said it already, what's the definition of insanity? Yeah, do the same thing over and over again. Think you change? No, you won't change. And also we love the silver bullets. Give us a consultant, give us a new tool, give us a task force, a special project, line change activity, let's manage it linearly. Awesome, we love it. Or who in the audience, who is running an agile or digital transformation program right now? You see, excellent, yeah, you have to. Do you think it will succeed? Yeah, I leave this in the air now. So, and even better, let's do a reorganization. Yeah, that always helps. Yeah, let's reassemble the same shit into a different box with the same people. Great effect. Yeah, love it. So go for your Deloitte or go for your Gartner and McKinsey. Yeah, call them immediately. They're gonna help you. So, freeze. That's also, by the way, from improvisation theater, one of the main elements you act on the stage and there's a command freeze, everyone freezes, and then you can change the context. And this I want to do now, because this orange stuff was now the plain enterprise stuff. So, that's the Hypnotoad if you watch Futurama. Who knows Futurama? It's a good audience. Yeah, so therapy. Take the next one. So this is the normal thing which happening, and okay, the fonts are broken, but when I come first time and talk about, yeah, I want to think about therapy in a corporate context, that's the thing what's happening. Eh? No way. Run. this is for sick people, it's nothing to do with me, it's a company, it's enterprise, it's clean, there is no therapy, there is no sickness, there is no illness. Yes, our companies are sick. That's my claim. And the bigger the company, the more sick they are. The bigger they go into corporations. And I know what I'm talking about. Yeah? I don't want to tell now the name where I work. I already told you. So I think, and that was the reason I wanted to, and I always went, I don't know whether this is English, I went pregnant with this idea to cross over this enterprise architecture and therapy thing. Because I believe it's a much more humanistic approach needed there to actually fix, not even fix, to heal the issues in some way. It will never be 100% fixed, but you get step by step a better state. And I was very much inspired, that's now a little back in time again, it's Mr. Bob Marshall, also known under the, I think it's Instagram or LinkedIn, Flow J Sensei is his Instagram acronym. This guy actually published a book in the year 2012 about organizational psychotherapy, which I found later and convinced me that my idea can't be that wrong, because a guy already took all the ideas and meshed it into some quite concise concept. And he just treats the organization as a collection of individual minds. So the collective mindset is the psyche of an organization, with all the effects, all the diseases, and all the potentials. And this I won't go into the detail, this you can look up afterwards. I just collected lots of stuff for you that you have to read out afterwards. So these are some elements. As I said, a collective mindset. It's a client-therapist relationship. So there is a therapist working with a company to get first an awareness, to get into the topics, to get below the surface, and working and self-actualize the system. And yeah, that's too much now. So now my take on this, especially for this conference, I crafted a kind of a, it's a difficult word now, a framework, a thinking model. I put some pieces together to have some structure. And it's this orange enterprise stuff, it's the therapy, psychology stuff, and the blend is actually this cocktail called enterprise therapy. It has ingredients, which we will go through now, and it has some kind of flow, a kind of it's not a recipe, but it helps you to structure and understand what I think is important. The etymology of ingredients, this is just a collection of stuff I was working. There is hipster stuff, common sense stuff, agile stuff, as I'm working very much in this agile area right now. Enterprise architecture, which was back then my craft, so enterprise design came afterwards, but is, I think, a very good approach to blend all these things together. I really love it. I would have needed it before already. So these are the, this PowerPoint Google thing really breaks my fonts. Awesome. So I have 8 treasures I put together. It's not the size, doesn't really matter. It's psychotherapy elements. It has coaching, mentoring, and mediation elements. It's about storytelling. It's about enterprise design as a real tool to help you to draft, to talk, to have a common language, like EDGY is really a foundation for this. I have, what is this? Agile mindset. Very important for me, this iterative thinking, short cycles. Try, experiment, fail, learn, and mesh this with all. I put there, that was last year in the hype phase, artificial intelligence. Yeah, it also helped myself to get an acceleration in content creation. It's not really intelligent, but it's a good tool, I would say. Yeah. And as you said, it's gonna come later on, but right now it's quite dumb, I would say. but helpful. Change management, classical wise, and system thinking, I think, is also a very important thing you really need to understand. Yeah, I will just jump through. Psychotherapy, I talked about. It's, yeah, the metaphor, we like our comfort zone, and we need to be kicked out of this comfort zone, and most oftenly, we need some external trigger to get out of it, yeah? Someone who kicks you out. Or maybe you have such a pain, you have to. The psychotherapy schools, okay, that's maybe also then for the readout. So we have this psychoanalytical thing. This is going into the deep, going into the past, understanding what's below the surface. That's an important trait. There is this cognitive behavior thing. It's more about the feeling, the learning, the thoughts. There are different schools behind. There is the whole group of systemic family therapy, and family you can easily transpose to organizational teams, units. Lots of good stuff in there. You have this person and client-centric, which is I'm very inspired personally from, because I did a 1-year special training in my practica in my study. I was working as a telephone counselor at the emergency hotline in Austria, where we got a 1-year study in person-centric conversational dialogue. Extremely helpful. Most important thing is to have these 3 values you actually use with your client. You have to be authentic, empathic, and appreciative. Accept what is going on. And alone, these 3 values we currently also use in our whole agile transformation team, how we go out to our clients and to our people. So very powerful. And the 5th one I just put there, it's just a selection, the integrative Gestalt. This is more this going into the present moment, being aware of yourself, being mindful also. And Mr. Seligman I can quote him, lucky those who have and can feel symptoms. This is a gift that you're able to feel your symptoms. That's already the first and the most important step. You have to go. So coaching, mentoring, yeah, I think this is commodity, I would say. This is also what I do. I love to do. And this is Max, yeah, he doesn't know that he's on this picture here. As a colleague from ÖBB. Storytelling, also very powerful, also to get more contact and get the message spread. It's not the bullet points which stick. It's really this, make an emotion, tell something, someone creates an emotion of. And yeah, I like this. Enterprise design, I think I don't have to tell so much about this because you are all the experts about this. You're here at the conference, and I can repeat myself. That's a very important craft you 2 guys especially put here together. It's really, really powerful. And still, I have a twist, yeah, and you see it's again broken. My twist with this enterprise design, and I had an interesting conversation with Wolfgang at the Mühlwasser back then. And what is it? I also was there. We created enterprise architecture, target architecture, pictures, beautiful, A0 plotted on the wall, everything was well designed. But how do we get there from your current state? Is it again just a program or a project? No, it's bigger. It's a much bigger transformative journey. And the next twist, it's the target you design is normally based on assumptions which could be wrong because you don't really understand the issues you have today. You remember the iceberg and all these things. You just base your target on the assumptions of symptoms you feel and you see and you witness, and not on these things below the surface. So you could end up in a complete wrong direction if you don't invest in really understanding and going down on the drain to understand your real issues. So that's a bit the twist I have with this yeah, let's draw a fancy picture and it might be the best language and tool. Yeah, I have an issue with it. So, but again, lost in translation, EDGY for me is really powerful to get this done. You have one common language. It's simple, it has all relevant elements, and it helps everyone to talk about the same thing, because this is most oftenly the biggest issue. Everyone talks semantically. It's already 5 minutes left, okay, and I need to, okay. So EDGY is cool. Agile mindset is also cool. You need, I already told about it. I use always Charles Darwin, so you need to change. The one who is able to adapt is the one who will survive. The Pyramid is Falling. This is, by the way, an excellent book by, I forgot the name, Dave Gray, Connected Company. Also big inspiration for me is how the pyramids and the command control hierarchical systems are breaking down. This is my current work at Austrian Railways. I'm the one with the round wheels, and they try to proceed with the rectangular wheels. And now it's broken. No, E, okay, yeah, that's going to happen. Change management, as I said. Tools of change, most important, yeah, mistakes. It's also love, yeah, you need some portion of love to convey the change into the system. It's not mechanically, linearly driven by something. So, okay, system thinking. This is just the picture I use, how I explain system thinking. Yeah? It's the thing we are together in one boat, and it's most oftenly there are some guys sitting on top and thinking they're not part of the game. This is also an important thing. What I do right now is a socio-anthropological Game of Thrones map, plotting out the organizational structure of Austrian Federal Railway, actually. And you see, is this a thing you can line manage? No, it's more an organism, it's more a bacteria, it's more a cell-based thing. You need to apply different things, different methods, different thinking. And yeah, that's Mr. Stafford Beer. You see, I would have needed much more time. That's the viable system model. So these were the ingredients. I just do a quickly overview of my flow. So the first important thing, self-awareness. You need to be open to see that you have an issue. It's very difficult. So observe your mess. Then you have to accept it. That's even more difficult. So shit, I have a shit ongoing. Leave your comfort zone. Then you might pair with an enterprise therapist. There are not yet many available on the planet. You can just contact me. And then it's a rigorous anamnesis. You go into the deep understanding of what's really going on. You do continuous diagnosis. And diagnosis, you need to be aware it's a bit dangerous, but it's important to know what might be affected. And yeah, grow mutual understanding. And you do salami interventions. And there is an asterisk. For the vegan people, it's a cucumber slice intervention. This is what my girlfriend told me. You can't talk about salami interventions. It's not possible, yeah? So, yeah, you do small interventions. And, yeah, and the whole thing is a cycle of embrace and adapt. So it's more, again, from the agile thinking. And it's the goal not to constantly pair with your client. It's to leave him self-actualized or in a self-efficacy, that he can work by himself. You just enable him. And that's the whole idea of the therapeutical flow. And some quotes, awareness in itself is healing. That's Mr. Pearls, founder of Gestalt therapy. Mr. Rogers, person-centric. It's also an important one. Curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. That's the foundation. Yeah, so these are just explanations of the other steps. I can't go into the pathologies. Would be interesting to also transpose those on the effects on the dynamics in an organization. Yeah, and some nuggets I use. This is more or less than the end. Eat your own dog food. This is do what you pray. That's important. Active listening is important. Listening opens door. Don't tell the guys how the world looks like. No, it's their world. It's their context. Don't step too much into it. And also like the controlled rule breaking. It's a very powerful one. You have to do this in any change and transformation. If you don't break rules, nothing will change. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is just some more context around how I group the ingredients around the flow. And this is the best quote from Mr. Freud. This you should take with you, wherever you are on the planet. Take a picture. Yeah, and as I said, this all what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to convey here, it's not a Wollmilchsau thing or framework you can just apply. It's highly contextual. It's handled with care. The secret sauce is, again, radical humanistic attitude, therapeutical approach, a clear demarcation from this illusion of short-term linear optimization delusion. Lovely word, yeah? And acceptance of your own dysfunctions. And yeah, we have to go through the valley of pain. And yeah, discomfort, acceptance, growth, healing. The very famous psychologist Jane Fonda already told us, no pain, no gain. This is Mr. John Kabat-Zinn. Yeah, this is some Chinese stuff. And yeah, just to wrap up, we have enterprise land, we have psychology land, we have enterprise therapy fusion land. And this is actually created by ChatGPT, the sentence here. And in my face, this even looks like consultancy bullshit, so therefore it's maybe too much and I have to change it. So, okay. And I like, this is actually my mantra for myself. I really think this is a good one. And I want to just leave you with this quote from Erin van Wuren. And yeah, that's a German thing. And the last story I want to tell, there's a picture I took, I think 3 weeks before Corona and before my mental flat out. And it says, no one said that it will be comfy. And I get goosebumps here now because this is really very personal for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Gerold. Any questions, comments, follow-ups for him? Please.
So maybe I will make myself without this. So is there any part of the EDGY parts, that you connect this more to when you're reasosoning about it?
Yeah.
The connection?
I think this whole identity thing is a big part of it. The experience part is big. The architecture thing, yeah, maybe it's the more structural approach how to do it, yes, but there is this fully connectable. And I also thought there is this white sweet spot in the middle. That is currently blank. And that's a good place to be for this approach here, because it's this holistic thing about what's actually really going on, and this might be the below surface spot here. That's just an assumption.
Yeah, that was also my interpretation when I listened to you, that the identity part is kind of where we're located.
I always thought, why is this blank? It's the most important thing. Wolfgang, you should put something in. I'm gonna help you.
Could you explain us what's abnormal about your story regarding normal life?
What do you mean? Abnormal? That's too much.
I consider it as normal life, but thank you for being open about it. I think everybody has the same experience. That's why it's more like, what's abnormal about it?
About my life?
About your presentation.
No, it's not abnormal. I think people who are in the field of this, they will resonate to this and won't treat it as abnormal. But if you go to your next level manager or to your someone and tell him the company needs a therapy, he's gonna look into your face and tell you, you get fired, potentially, yes, or promoted, yeah. And I also had a podcast with SAP from the change team there, and the guy running the podcast in the beginning was really so skeptical. Oh no, this is too pathological and it's too negative and blah. He was scared. But after the podcast, he came to me, this all makes sense now, yeah. This is kind of, it's nothing you have to be scared of, yeah. And I think people are scared. Or for example, who is going to psychotherapy here? Who wants to admit? This is already, it's no longer that stigma. It's still a stigma here, individually, but on a corporate level, no one will.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for interesting talk. I'm doing some research at the moment, actually, about VSM and its role or potential role in diagnosing problems in companies. And I was just wondering, you touched briefly on Stafford Beer.
VSM, yeah. I would have gone much more deeper.
I was just wondering what role you see that having in your sort of therapy approach.
Actually, we used VSM and Stafford Beer back then in this enterprise architecture role, very deep with this Tom Grave thinking to actually treat this adaptive organism adapting to the environment and with this the coordination level, the operative level. And it fascinated me, and I think it's still a very valid approach to handle it in a more structured way, but still open for all the complexity you need to cover. So yes, love it.
Oh, I just wanted to build upon the premise of who's going to therapy and the stigma about it. I would worry more about people that do not want to go to therapy than about the people that are actually going, because that resistance tells you a lot about them. So I'm wondering if that is also something present in organizations. And something that I've heard a lot, especially in couples, is that they say that if they go to couples therapy, then they'll get divorced. And it's funny, because I would like to think that if they get divorced, it's because there was a good reason for it, right? It's not the therapy that makes them get a divorce. So how would you translate that to the organizational aspect of it? You know, that resistance and how to get around that.
I think it's this kind of unconscious fear and the unconscious consciousness companies have, that they somehow know it's broken, but they don't want to admit, and they have this, they put it down, the consequences. So it could become a self-fulfilling prophecy then, if you go and you let yourself into such an approach, that your fear will come up and will slap you in your face. And this is the normal reaction. You keep it down, because this, you can sustain your comfort zone for a bit, but it won't sustain for a long time. It will anyhow, it will break out. It will implode, explode, or detonate.
Last one before we move on to the next talk.
When you treat enterprise, do you treat human relationships or humans, or both?
The human relationship is, I think, a bit more important. And the humans are important, but I think the relationship is even more. But you have to treat both, for sure. You can't say only relationships without humans. Okay, then you are treating the lines without the dots. That would not be very holistic.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Gerold. Give him a warm hand of applause.